Uh, hel- Hello?
Hello, my name is Roee Amar, and I'm the sole developer of Do Not Buy This Game, a comedy walking sim where the game is being built as you play it. This is my first commercial title, right? And the thing that I was working beforehand didn't come out ever, and won't come out probably ever, because it was a really big project that I could never truly finish and be satisfied with. And I kind of took the process of it all and kind of took how hard game development is and wanted to do something with it. And so I arrived to this kind of meta thing of a game creator trying to build a game while you play it, and kind of the sort of experience that could be had there, and how the game developer actually communicates with the player directly, and having those sort of conversations and interactions was very interesting to me. So yeah, that's kind of how I arrived there. Since you know, my pitch is rather simple. It's You can kind of understand it, you can kind of see the appeal. You might say, hey, this is not for me, and that's fine. But there are a lot of people that from that understanding can take something and say, yeah, that excites me.
We could do this for days.
It's always been a self-taught thing. I'm doing the big chunk of the work of actually making the game. And just programming is something that I did ever since I was in the fourth grade. I just kind of went to an after school like classes of trying to learn that, and went home with a floppy disk of the first game I ever made, which is very weird because most people listening probably won't know what a floppy disk is. But I just like took it home and like I pushed it into my computer and could play that small silly game that I made. And I just kind of made games ever since. They were just small projects that I did for my fun and my own enjoyment and enjoyment of some of my friends, and that's it. But I always kind of knew that this is the direction that I'm going to go through. I was always fascinated by all sort of stuff related to games. And when the first indie boom kind of happened, that was when I really found the type of experiences that I really liked. Smaller games aimed to a niche demographic that are doing really, really interesting stuff that a lot of bigger games not only don't go there, they just can't kind of go there. And those small, compact experiences that are filled with a lot of personal interests, whether it be mechanicals or story related, those are really the types of games that I love. There are indies that stick with me today. There are some bigger games that stick with me today. I mean, Portal 1 is one of those games, which is bigger but still kind of indish. And I really loved this game. And most people prefer Portal 2, but I actually prefer Portal 1 because of that eerie feeling that you get when you play it, since you don't know what's going on. You have no idea who GLaDOS is, you have no idea whatever, and that's really kind of a bit of a horror-ish feeling, even though it's not a horror game. There are games like Braid, which have amazing puzzles in them. Thomas Was Alone, which managed to make me care about rectangles, and all sorts of amazing games that are trying so many unique and interesting things that I just love. Since this is a game creator trying to create something for you, and spoiler alert, he fails a few times, there's a lot of personal stuff in there. There's a lot of like personal feelings that I get when I'm trying to develop a game. And a lot of it is hard. Putting stuff out there for people to enjoy is a terrifying experience, but it's also a great experience. And all the self doubts, all the thoughts that you have while working on something, I kind of try and push them in there. And I find that the do not buy this game yet, do not buy this game title of trying to warn people that this isn't for you. Don't do it. But also like packing it with personal stuff and thoughts and trying to be as direct as I can while being amusing and interesting for you as a player and as an experience, there are some advantages of being completely independent, right? Like, I'm really going at this game at a somewhat of a slow pace, and taking that time is really helpful to polishing this experience to be what I want it to be. Since this is really a game about the connection between the game developer and the player, I kind of found it a bit uncomfortable to letting any publisher in on that kind of relationship. Even putting a big publisher's logo at the beginning is a bit weird when you're trying to be this personal. I'm not saying that I won't be a publisher for this game or any other game that I make. I'm just like, it's a tough decision whether to go down that route.
Not quitting yet, huh? Seems like making a game for you wasn't enough to satisfy your obsession.
So, the most integral thing to do is for this specific idea, right? Is probably to work on it alone. Because, as I'm saying, it's a really personal thing. And when you make something alone, it's very different than when you're making it with a bunch of people, right? That's true not only for games, but for any media that you're going to look for movies, books, whatever. And I know that personally, I'd prefer to work with a team, at least on my next game, right? Working on something alone has its benefits as well, and has a lot of cool perks to it as well. Yeah, kind of different folks, different strokes. So I've been working on this for around less than 2 years, I'd say, and I still have a while to go. Like, I can't put a number on it, but I still have a while to go. I'm past the halfway point, I believe. But there are still a lot of things to be done, and there are a lot of writing and rewriting that's happening all of the time, and making and scraping, and that's rough. But I think that's going to make the end game better for it. Being locked in is difficult, I feel, and it really affects how you think about stuff and how you actually can interact with your environment. And that was not ideal, I'd say, at least from the game progress front. Like, it's hard to actually put out your best ideas and get stuff out there and actually, creating the thing when you're kind of locked into this situation. But I did work, and I did manage to progress quite a bit in that time. Ironically, it had its upsides as well. Like, having all those online communities come together and try and create opportunities for people, since they can't actually meet right now, really made it easier to kind of get yourself out there. So yeah, it's a mixed bag. It has those personal lows, but also weird opportunities that just wouldn't be there otherwise. It's a hard thing to actually say what my process is, because a lot of it are, that's a cool idea, that kind of just pops into your head. But the way that I write usually is just having this big idea, having this like thing that I want to get to, the top bird eye view of things, and just kind of going down the structure and finding pieces that should work here and pieces that should work there, and then going deeper into them and trying to flesh those out. And that's the way that I find that makes the whole experience itself the best possible version of itself. But other than that, I do just sometimes just write and see what comes out and roll out different ideas, and that might be funny, that might work, and just kind of using those things. I just wanted to participate in the Steam Festival when it was just announced, and I was like, yeah, I think that I'll be able to make a really small version of this game in a month and a half. And I just kind of ran with it and tried to push out different ideas of what could a demo for this game be like? What could a prologue for this game be like? And I realized that having this small experience where the player is going through different sections of the game and getting to the end goal and having those personal collections while you do that is a really good example of what the game is going to be like. And so I started just to write those down and had like different ideas for what the mini sections could be like and how to frame them one after the other so that the player will have the best experience for it. The best place is probably either the Discord or Twitter, probably. Although I don't really understand Twitter, I just kind of use it. There's also a mailing list which I use for very big announcements. But honestly, if you wishlist and follow the game on Steam, that would be a the most beneficial to me and most helpful, and B that should notify you whenever there's big news on the Steam page or that the game actually came out. So that would be probably the best option.
No!
Follow the game. Wishlist on Steam.
Free.
Follow the game.
Just
Wishlist on